Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I still sound a bit like a rabid chipmunk, but that's okay. We just keep going. That's what you do in business, right? You keep going. And today we are going to have so much fun because I am talking with a woman who is absolutely delightful. She's all the way over in Ireland. Gotta love technology, right? So please join me in welcoming Bevin Mahon to our program today. Welcome, Bevin. How are you?
I am good, Deb, and thank you so much for having me on the Power Hour. I'm delighted to be here.
Perfect.
I'm delighted to have the opportunity to talk about what I do and share with your listeners.
I love it. So much fun. So much fun. So let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll find out more about what it is that you do in Dublin.
Yeah.
So Bevin is the owner and CEO at Dentaltech Group, which is headquartered in Dublin. She is transforming how denture and dental services are accessed and delivered to patients across the country and is now looking to grow globally with a particular focus on the U.S. Bevin is a passionate leader and a thought leader who works as an executive coach in her spare time. She's a multi-award winner, and so is her company, including their business All-Stars winner for 6 years in a row. She is also a wife and a mom of 3 fabulous teenagers. So again, Bevin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
I love it. I love it. Well, I always love asking my guests how it is that they got to where they are today, because this is not what you thought you were going to be doing. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, I love that, Deb. Yeah, no, this is so far from anything I thought of. If I roll back 20, 30 years, this is definitely not something I was thinking of. And thank you so much for the lovely intro. It makes it sound amazing. And I suppose from humble beginnings, it all began. I, believe it or not, started in dental tech, which is really proud, second generation family business. We will be celebrating 50 years in business this November. So my mum and dad started it back in the 70s, and I'm one of 5 girls. I'm middle child, and my mum always says middle child but not overlooked, and it's over 20 years ago. I came to the company on a 3-month contract. So I did my degree in social science. I went to the US, did a bit of traveling. I came home. I was working in, I'd been working in accounts all through kind of school and college, and helping my mom. And she wanted to have a computerized accounts program. And it was very traditional and old school, like, 3-in-1 Kalamazoo leisure. I don't even know if anyone remembers that style.
Yeah, you handwrite everything.
Duplicate books and triplicate books. So yeah, I was trying to bring them into the modern age, and I had been working in accounts departments and things like that. So I came in a 3-month contract in 2001, and I've been here ever since. And what started off, I suppose, a really traditional, like, local business. My dad was a denture specialist, and my mom had gone back to school and college as a mature student, and they were growing the business, but it was very local, and we were kind of like a denture repair company, as well as manufacturing for other dentists and dental practices around. And I really saw this opportunity for it to be so much more. My mum and dad worked really long hours and long days, and kind of thought it's like a really busy job, not necessarily a business. And I had loads of ideas, and they did laugh at me quite a bit when I would bring up some of my ideas, like, who's this young pup and who do they think they are? They don't know the
That's
industry.
not the way we've always done it, honey.
Exactly. And one of the first times we were on what I call a strategy meeting in the local pub nearby.
Of course, said, and you have to have a pint, right? If you're in the pub, you must have a pint.
Exactly. It was like a typical Friday evening, and I was going, I can replace you with what you do, and I can bring somebody in. And parents thought this was hilarious. Where are you going to get, nobody can do what we do. We're irreplaceable, So anyway, I said I'd have it done in 6 months, and they laughed so hard. I was really annoyed. I was really upset. They thought this is how is she going, how do they, of course I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
It took me about 12 months to do it, so a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
and then they didn't really laugh at me after that. So
Mm-hmm.
so then if I fast forward, I suppose over the 20 years I stayed,
Mm-hmm.
obviously after the 3 months they asked me to stay. I said, well, if I'm going to stay, we're going to, we'll make some changes. We need to future proof the business and grow it. And we started to grow the manufacturing side, which was kind of B2B. And then we started growing the clinic side, which is where my dad was a specialist, he specialized. So we were growing both of them in tandem. And what I didn't realize until several decades later is that typically in the industry, a dentist and a denture specialist, they grow their clinic. Right. They don't generally have a lab. And then a lab generally grows their lab.
It's a one or the other.
Exactly. And then also, I suppose, I knew nothing really about being either. So it made sense to me, well, if we're growing that bit, of course we grow that bit. And also in Ireland, I don't know if it's the same in the States, I think maybe in the past it would have been, is that when a clinician or a technician retires, the business usually closes with them.
Right. Yeah, they are a true independent business.
Yeah. So I really couldn't get my head around this. My dad was always talking about, when I retire. And I was kind of going, like, there has to be more to this, Right. So I started talking to female entrepreneur groups and different business groups and things in different industries to get ideas. It was just, my brain was so excited about the opportunity and the growth. And we did grow, and we grew quite a considerable amount, became the largest provider of nursing home, dental and denture services. We saw a gap in the market to look after people who couldn't make it into us. Right. And we started to look after those people. And then the manufacturing grew and the clinic grew, and it was very busy. And we were always stuck with skill set. You had to have somebody who was an expert in the clinic looking after the patients for making dentures. And then you had to somebody who was an expert in the manufacturing. And there was a real shortage of skill sets. And it is globally that there's a shortage of skill sets. And I was like, how do we future-proof the business? How do we make sure that we're around, we can still provide the service? Because a lot of people say to me, well, dentures, it's, are people really going to be wearing dentures for a long time? And actually the numbers are increasing because we're all living a lot longer. And the need for it is still there. And with certain, I suppose, medications that people are on and different, I suppose, health risks and things like that other alternatives like implants may not be a solution for them. So dentures and removable teeth are certainly growing. They're around for a while. So I kept saying, we've got to find a way. So I was talking to people and looking at other industries, and I thought 3D printing sounds really exciting. I saw it in other industries, and I was like, surely we're going to be looking at that in dental. And then I started to see snippets of it around maybe model making and things like that. And so in 2020, in February 2020, so we all remember 2020.
Right. So you did this right before the whole world shut down.
I did. So I had this great brainwave. I got a group of people I really trusted, so kind of advisors and mentors together. And I asked them in February 2020 to come together for a 2-day kind of strategy event. So I could, pick on their brains, pull that knowledge together and future-proof Dentaltech. So we left that 2 days super excited. We were going to be 3D printing dentures. However, we had 2 major roadblocks. One was, my team are so busy already. How are they going to cope with learning something new? Right. And the second thing was, and also I suppose there's a mental block around anything digital. People kept saying to me, you want to do digital what? What? You want
and just the concept, are they durable? All of those various things.
Oh, yeah. And then the second thing was money. It was going to cost a considerable amount. We're a small company. How do you transition while you're still operating? And then about a month later, COVID hit. And I think even in February, we were all thinking, oh, that's way over the other side of the world. That's not going to affect us. We were all going through that same thing for a period of time. And I suppose what COVID gave us was 2 things. One was it gave us time. Right. So it gave us time with our team where we weren't doing anything. The nursing homes were closed.
Yeah, because they shut down really pretty hard in Ireland.
Totally. And we were looking after the mouth, which was like the number one transmitter.
Right. Yeah. So you had to be extra careful when you could actually see people again.
Absolutely. So we were only doing emergencies and things like that. So our team were, people were getting antsy that, after a while, we all thought it was going to be over after Easter. and then we realized
they
it was
told
going to
us
be a bit
here
longer.
2 weeks, and we went,
Yeah. We hoped.
Mhm.
But it did extend a little bit longer. But because our team were free and they had more time in their hands, they were
Mhm.
open to learning something new.
Mhm.
Originally they were like, "Oh, this is going to put us out of a job.
Mhm.
Digital, the computers are going to do it all."
Mhm.
And I just kept saying, "Hey guys, everybody said that to
Mhm.
Bill Gates when he said he was going to put a PC on every workstation." I
Right.
was like,
Mhm.
"We are going to do this,"
Mhm.
and bringing them on that
Mhm.
journey. And then the second barrier was around the financing and how do we do this? And I suppose COVID was a great opportunity because Ireland had great supports and funding for small
Mhm.
businesses to how to stay in business for
Right.
starters. And then also our idea was so exciting to the likes of Enterprise Ireland, which is
Mhm.
our government department that looks at export and helping
Okay.
companies to grow
Mhm.
and create jobs. So they were like, yeah, we absolutely will support you on this.
Mhm.
So yeah, if I fast forward to 2021, we printed our first fully digital denture from
Mhm.
start to finish. We scanned somebody's mouth, we
Mhm.
designed it through CAD, we 3D printed it, and we
Mhm.
fit it. And all of the time throughout, everyone was like, "We can't do this. We're not going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to." There was all this, can't, we
Mhm.
can't, can we? And we proved that we could do it. And
Mhm.
now, Deb, if you fast forward to 2023, that's all we do. We scan the mouth, we
Wow.
digitally design it, and we
Mhm.
3D print it.
I love it. Well, and one of the
And
things that you
exciting.
and I talked about was it's so easy then to replace something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So especially in nursing homes. So
Mhm.
if we've scanned, so we've digitally designed it. If
Mhm.
somebody loses it and they say, "I've lost my denture for
Right.
whatever reason," so we've a lot of reasons why people lose their dentures. Your dog
Mhm.
might get it and chew your denture. You might flush it down the toilet accidentally or throw it in the bin or whatever.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
lots of reasons why. But now you can just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, can I have another denture?" And we click
Mhm.
print. We just
Mhm.
click print.
Right.
Whereas before, somebody had to go through all of the stages
Mhm.
again, come in and take their molds, get some
Mhm.
measurements done, get a trial one to see if it
Mhm.
looks good, you're happy with it, and then get the final. And
Mhm.
that would take weeks,
Right.
from start to finish, and lots of clinical time and lots of manufacturing time. And I suppose for us, the being able to replace something instantly certainly in the nursing home settings, the
Mhm.
aged care settings,
Right.
when
Oh
somebody is
yeah.
without their teeth, yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
their
because it
health. Yeah.
affects, obviously it affects how they eat.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's also, it's the more emotional thing,
It
when you feel
is.
like you
Yeah.
can't smile and all of those various things.
Oh, it affects your mental health. It
Hmm.
affects your confidence,
Hmm.
your social ability.
Hmm.
Like as you say, you don't want to smile. Maybe you don't want to meet people. You're
Hmm.
staying at home, or if you're in a nursing home, you're not participating
Hmm.
in things that are going on.
Hmm.
But staying at home would be a big thing. And
Hmm.
I suppose during COVID, if somebody lost their denture, they did have masks.
Hmm.
So some people came into us going, "Thank goodness for a mask,"
Right.
because nobody
Hmm.
knows I'm missing it.
Hmm.
But now that's gone.
Hmm.
Majority of the time, there's only a small proportion of people wearing
Hmm.
masks. So we really need to help people smile.
Hmm.
Smile with confidence. That's what we do. Smile, eat, and chew with
Hmm.
confidence. So we help people to do that. I'm really
Right.
proud of what we do, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. And so from the, obviously you have the ability to make them look natural,
Oh,
because
yeah.
when we think of 3D printing, we think, they're printing something in orange or whatever. And no,
Yeah.
you're making them look exactly like someone's real teeth.
Yeah. So, and the material that we use. So, if we're using the pink gum material,
Hmm.
I suppose our area of specialty is making it as small as possible, as
Hmm.
durable as possible.
Hmm.
We want to make something feel really natural, like it's supposed
Hmm.
to be there. So that's what we really work hard with, and we've always done that, I suppose, the whole way
Hmm.
through. So we had to really make sure that we were doing that with digitally as well,
Hmm.
because there's no point in us making a product that is not the same or better. We want to
Right.
make, we need
Hmm.
to make sure we're making it better. So yeah, the material that we use is any of the pink material. It's kind of translucent type of
Hmm.
material, so it picks up the natural pigment of the gum.
Oh, okay.
And then the teeth we match, so if somebody comes in and they've lost their denture and
Hmm.
they, don't even have a photograph of
Hmm.
themselves with their natural teeth, there's
Hmm.
parts of the body that tell us the size of the
Right.
tooth.
Yeah. You don't want somebody with bright white teeth if they didn't have bright white teeth
Exactly.
before. Hmm.
Match the complexion. We look at
Hmm.
the shape of somebody's face,
Wow.
position of people's eyes,
Hmm.
nose, ears will tell us what should be there
Hmm.
naturally anyway. And then if people have natural teeth, we find a lot of
Hmm.
people do. They have
Right.
some natural teeth and just a few gaps.
Hmm.
We match up the natural teeth that they
Hmm.
have. And,
Right.
you know, it needs to be aesthetically good.
Mhm.
It has to work. So it has to fit them really well. So
Mhm.
it's got to fit their mouth as it is today.
Mhm.
It's got to function so they can eat, but
Mhm.
it's got to look good so that when they smile, they feel
Mhm.
confident and they don't feel like,
Right.
oh, people are going to know I'm
Mhm.
wearing this or people are going to
Mhm.
see it, you
Mhm.
know. So that's our three things that we like to tick the
Mhm.
box for everybody, you know.
I
So
love it. Yeah, because if any one of those is not right, they're not going to wear them.
mm,
I mean, that's what it comes down to is, now
absolutely.
obviously, they might wear them if, to eat, but, if they're
Yeah.
uncomfortable when
Yeah.
they're
They can
eating,
hurt
then
their
they're not
mouth.
going to,
Yeah.
and,
Or if they
but
don't
more
look
importantly,
good.
they're
Yeah.
going to take them out because they don't want people to see it and they'd prefer to, go around without teeth.
Yeah. And that's it. And there's no reason why we can't do all those three
Mhm.
things. I mean, it's what we've been doing for the last 50 years. And
Mhm.
there, as you say, there's no point if they look good, but they don't fit
Mhm.
well, they're going to put them in for photos, but then they
Right.
can't eat with them. And what's the
Mhm.
point? And, or maybe they fit well, but they really don't look good,
Mhm.
So again, it's just, you got to tick all those three
Mhm.
boxes together, it's got to,
Right.
and I suppose with the digital, the beauty about the digital as well, because we set out to see how can we future proof the company, how
Mhm.
can we grow, how, with that skill set is a limited pool, how do
Mhm.
we make sure everybody's got jobs and we can still look
Mhm.
after more people. And I suppose now, since we started that journey, we've opened 3 more clinics.
Wow.
We've opened up our areas to look after 3 more area like counties. It'd be like
Mhm.
Ireland obviously is a lot smaller than the States, but
Mhm.
it'd be like our little tiny mini states.
Mhm.
We've got 26 counties in the Republic of Ireland. So
Mhm.
we've been able to expand into more counties.
Nice. Mhm.
So people have access, so it's all about
Mhm.
being able to access what we do,
Mhm.
and provide the service. So we've been able to grow, um and then also we've designed new products because
Ah.
we've been able to see,
Mhm.
I suppose, a need. And
Mhm.
now we may not have been able to meet that need previously, but now
Mhm.
with this digital technology,
Mhm.
it's opened up a huge world for
Right.
all sorts of options,
Mhm.
so it's fantastic.
Right. And I was also thinking, like if say you start with a child, clearly they're going to need to change as they age.
Yeah.
And in many cases, if you had, denture, partial, whatever, and say somebody lost their tooth or a couple teeth,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
playing hockey, they're doing whatever,
Yes. Yeah.
and they've lost, typically what they would do is they would go longer than they should
Yeah.
with what they had because it was inconvenient, it was expensive, and
Yeah.
all of those things. And now they can grow with that person until they get to the adult sides.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. And sometimes, like you said, when somebody has an accident for maybe
Mhm.
sports and things like that, if they're still playing sports, well, they're not really a candidate for getting anything more long-term or
Right.
permanent
Yeah,
because they can
because they're
damage
going
it.
to get them knocked out again. Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. Or as you said, they're young enough that they're still growing.
Mhm.
So we don't know what it's going to look like maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time, in their
Mhm.
adulthood, maybe, because their mouth
Mhm.
hasn't fully developed. So
Right.
there's 2 things really that help there is one is because we can do it digitally, we can do it much
Mhm.
faster. But also we can monitor their progress
Mhm.
from their scans. So
Right.
we can see their mouth developing over
Mhm.
time. And that's quite cool, actually, just
Mhm.
even from a technology perspective,
Mhm.
to be able to see that, to be
Mhm.
able to show it to somebody on a big digital screen
Mhm.
is phenomenal. So that dark area that we look
Mhm.
at when we're brushing our teeth and things like that, now
Mhm.
you can see it on a big screen and
Right.
see every minute detail of what's
Mhm.
going on in your mouth. It is quite cool to do. So the
Mhm.
cool part, but also the functional part. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty much in the tech. I like that. I like that we can deliver a
Mhm.
product and change somebody's life,
Right.
because as you said, people get their teeth knocked out,
Mhm.
or there's maybe a medical reason why somebody's
Mhm.
lost some teeth, or a health reason.
Age. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And then you lose confidence, you're not smiling.
Mhm.
I see people who talk like this and they have their lip
Right.
their lip reduced
Mhm.
down because they've learned to hide maybe a
Mhm.
gap at the side.
Mhm.
And when we can complete somebody's smile
Mhm.
and you see this complete change in
Mhm.
somebody's face, it's phenomenal. I had
Mhm.
somebody recently wrote a 3-page testimonial, like a 3-page
Wow.
letter to our team to
Mhm.
say thank you, because he said and in his words, he was like, I'm a bit country.
Mhm.
I don't normally tell people if they've done something right, but I
Mhm.
had to tell you. He said from start to finish the service, we have a phenomenal team, without
Mhm.
a doubt. I mean, I can hand on heart say anybody coming in through our doors is so well looked after because
Mhm.
we know their struggle, we know what they've been through,
Mhm.
and to make that journey really pleasant for them. But this guy in the letter, he said all of that, but he also said it took him a month to learn how to smile again.
Mhm.
that he said to the point where in work people were saying to him, did you go abroad? Because in Ireland we have this dental tourism thing going on.
Ah,
You go abroad? Did you go abroad to get your smile? He said, no, I got it done here in Ireland.
Just
And
down the way.
exactly. And he said they wouldn't believe it. Initially they were going, how, you never smile. What's up with you? A whole month learning how to smile again. I mean, that's life changing. Yeah. We love to hear that. That's
I
what
love
we
it.
do. Yeah.
And people might think that it's really not, important, but it is,
Yeah.
and how we look. And it's not really that we're being vain, right?
No.
And there is a little bit to that. But it is more what we're comfortable with. And especially if someone had something very long term, like you said, they get used to not smiling.
Yeah.
And so then
Yeah.
they get used to not laughing. They get used to, all of those things, and they become, the sad person.
Yeah. And then they stop going to things as well. So
Right.
like we all have that person that we know who doesn't have that big beaming smile in the photos. They smile, with the lips closed.
Or they're in the back row, all of those various things.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you said, and what happens is like smiling actually creates endorphins in our body.
Right.
So it actually helps us to feel good. So when we stop smiling, then it equally has the knock-on effect of not feeling so good and not releasing the endorphin. So we don't have that feel-good hormone. And as you said, over time, what happens is people kind of retract. They retract from being involved.
Because why do we want to be around the grumpy person?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the person who doesn't want to go somewhere. And I think, just the confidence alone of being able to smile. And as you said, it's not a vain thing. It's about what you feel comfortable with and what makes you feel happy. But from a functional point of view, it's about being able to chew food as well. Because if you don't have teeth filling gaps, what happens is, well, A, you can lose teeth, the rest of your teeth quicker.
Right.
Because teeth don't have as much security around them because there's some gaps. And then, but B, you're not able to enjoy the same food. So we talk to people, when people don't have their natural teeth, the most common things they order when they're eating out is soup, because you can drink it, and fish because it's soft. Fish and mashed potatoes.
Never corn on the cob, never steak.
A bit of steak, yeah. And I kind of think, I like a bit of steak every time I go out, or every now and again, especially if it's a good place, or maybe something a bit meatier. You're kind of thinking, how do you get through that? But a lot of people, they're not thinking about enjoying their food. They're thinking about, what can I eat on that menu? Right. What is not going to work for me, and what do they have anything that works for me? So, again, people retracting from that society because it's too difficult for them to go, because that menu doesn't have something they can eat, and they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And
well, and worse, things, sometimes they, if they have something that gets under a denture and causes a problem, then there's really big issues.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Food getting caught under the denture. So if that denture is not fitting you well, but you're putting it in when you're eating, the food's going to get caught underneath. You're going to have like kind of sores. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Right. It's not pleasant, and then you're having to leave the table to go and clean your denture in the bathroom, and there might be somebody else there. So all sorts of things to be considered, when it comes to the dentures. And I think, look, it's great that we're talking about this today, Deb, because I'm really passionate about it. I think your listeners can probably hear, I feel like this is ingrained in me because my parents started it 50 years ago, but also I think nowadays we're talking about things much more openly. We talk about menopause, we talk about mental health, we talk about erectile dysfunction. We're still not talking about dentures. There's a terrible stigma and shame about losing teeth or having lost teeth. And it's not about that. It's about having a solution now and being able to say, I need this. I have a gap. I'm missing teeth. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how it happened. It's about being able to say, I can go and get something. And while we're based in Ireland, and we're mainly in Ireland now, and we're growing, I absolutely want to share that with the world, whether it's us that delivers it or whether it's somebody else, to help actually bring that conversation about. So I really appreciate being able to talk to you about it here today.
I love it. So, and the fact that it really is so pretty easy to fix. Yeah. That's the amazing thing, is how many people put it off. Yeah. And granted, they put it off when, like we were saying, when dentures took a long time and they were expensive. And, and we're not saying, these are 10 cents.
Or
But
bad experience when you
right,
were
yeah, and they
when you
just,
were
or
younger.
yeah, they heard somebody else, or we all remember, right? You went in and grandma's teeth were in the glass beside her, um, and we all thought, oh, we don't want to be like
Yeah,
that,
I don't want to take my
and
teeth out. Yeah, and
mhm,
put them there. Yeah,
mhm.
so you're right. I mean, the most
It's never
common
grandpa. It
image,
was always grandma's teeth.
the most common image that comes to people's
Mhm,
heads when you talk about
mhm.
dentures is teeth in the glass for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say it really isn't like that anymore. But like
Mhm,
people still have that picture in their head,
mhm,
and like you say, they kind of go, "Oh, I don't want that to be me,
mhm,
and I don't want to have that there." But you're right. It's people put it off, and
mhm,
one of the most common things we do here is, "I can't believe I put it off for so long."
mhm.
That's
Right.
certainly one. And I was really nervous before I
Mhm,
came, and I didn't realize that it wasn't going to be such a pleasant experience
mhm,
because I think, people lose teeth. Like I said, there's an element of shame around it.
mhm,
There's an element of stigma. I can't talk about it
mhm.
unless I have the money to get like fabulous
Right.
implants. But, people aren't maybe necessarily a candidate for that. So
Mhm,
sometimes it's not even just about the money. It's so
right.
many other things.
Mhm,
But we hear stories here in
mhm,
Ireland, of people having had teeth extracted when they had no
mhm.
anesthetic,
Right. Mhm,
having all of their teeth pulled for
mhm,
no reason because they maybe had decay in one tooth.
mhm,
So there's lots of stories that go
mhm.
around, and I don't think we're unique here in Ireland. I think,
Right.
listening to people in the UK and the US and talking to them, those stories are still going around
Mhm,
where people have that nervousness because
right.
something happened to somebody they knew or
Mhm,
themselves,
mhm.
or like that parents or grandparents,
Right.
and yeah, they put it off. So
Right.
yeah, we oral health is really important, and
Mhm,
going and talking to somebody and
mhm.
and getting it checked, and there's
Right.
always a solution
Right.
for something.
Oh yeah. And it can lead to much more serious things.
Yeah.
My uncle who passed away, several years ago, his teeth were absolutely horrible. They were, he smiled and you went, ew. Um,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, all of that decay
Yeah.
caused him other physical issues.
Yeah.
And when he finally went into a dentist, and I mean, he lost them all. There was,
Yeah.
no, we could not save any, because
Yeah.
he had waited far too long.
Yeah.
But the physical change in him, I mean, he had gone from being this stooped little old man to
Yeah.
back to being this vibrant person because those
Yeah.
toxins were
We're
no longer
gone.
in his body.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, I suppose, yeah, our teeth are so linked to our
Mhm.
bloodstream. So,
Right.
plaque buildup under the
Mhm.
gum, decay, it can cause all sorts of havoc.
Mhm.
There's like a direct channel to our brain
Mhm.
and our hearts. So there's stroke, heart
Mhm.
attack, there's
Yeah.
all sorts can be
Mhm.
linked to that. And I do say to people, like when you've got your natural teeth, so when we brush it, there's a lot of emphasis around brushing,
Mhm.
and then people brush, and then maybe secondary is floss or
Right.
rinse. And I always kind of think, if you think of it this way, right? So when you're drinking, liquid water or
Mhm.
something, most of the time, a lot of the debris that you eat can be
Mhm.
washed away with a lot of
Right.
that.
It just goes right on down. Mhm.
Yeah, where the biggest impact is kind of wedged between your teeth.
Mhm.
If you don't push that food out, that
Right.
that food in between. So if you don't floss or
Mhm.
use those brushes in between the teeth,
Mhm.
that food stays there, and
Mhm.
the brush unfortunately doesn't get rid of all of
Right.
it.
Mhm.
So what happens is you can have that decay building up in there. So you
Mhm.
can have brilliant oral health,
Mhm.
from brushing and
Right.
rinsing and things
But
like that.
gum disease. Mhm.
Yeah, and not floss,
Mhm.
So I always say, like, whatever you do, floss, And
Mhm.
my dad always says, and I know it's not the right thing because you need to do both, but he says, if you're going to pick one, pick flossing first.
Hmm. Interesting. See, and I'm
Poke
one of
anything
those.
out.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to go to the dentist, so I better floss today. Right.
Okay, well, I have to say, I am guilty of that as well, and I
Mhm.
own a dental company. So
Mhm.
I just, if you just we kind of remind ourselves every
Mhm.
now and again, okay, look, if we don't do it
Right.
every day, we should, but
Mhm.
just a little reminder to
Mhm.
do it. But yeah, I mean, gum
Right.
disease, I suppose, is prevalent, and it leads to you
Mhm.
losing teeth.
Mhm.
You always say the gums are a little bit like the elastic on your trousers.
Mhm.
When the gum disease sets in, the
Yeah. When
elastic.
they reach a certain point, they're not going
This
back.
is it. And the elastic goes,
Mhm.
it's like the elastic, the gums go,
Mhm.
and you naturally lose teeth
Mhm.
because the gums are there tight around the teeth to
Right.
keep the teeth in place and
Mhm.
support them. And once the gums start to go,
Mhm.
people get wobbly teeth, and they
Mhm.
can lose them for sure.
Right.
So gum disease is another reason
Mhm.
why we would do quite
Right.
a bit of dentures. and
Mhm.
and if you've gum disease, if it doesn't repair, it doesn't heal, it can't
Right.
go back.
Mhm.
You can stop it in its tracks, so you
Mhm.
can actually keep it at that
Mhm.
level. But if it's gone so far that it's not going to help with
Mhm.
keeping your teeth in, and you can't get it under control, you may not even be a candidate for implants, you know,
right,
so
because there's nothing there to hold them is basically
this is it.
yeah.
And it's go, you know, the gums are going and they're retracting and stuff like that. So dentures for a lot of people is the only solution,
right,
you know, and now that they look really natural and fit really well,
right,
you know, people don't know you have them. So you can have that confidence, Mal.
right.
You know, so
And the other thing, people are like, but it hurts. It's gonna hurt. It hurts to go to the
yeah.
dentist. And it's funny, you and I were talking before the program because I was extremely fortunate. The very first dentist I had when I was a little girl, all the way through, I have always had very good dentists. And part of that is because I communicate with them, all of these things, but I'm also not afraid. I mean, because I had such a good experience when I was little. I'm like, oh, and then I got to go to the dentist today. I mean, other people are like, I got to go to the dentist,
I know.
but the key is there, things have changed. So for people who are like, well, I went 20 years ago and it hurt. Well,
very different now. Yeah.
And
I love
they,
that you say that. Yeah.
They have so many different ways. It's just like with anything, things have changed, things have improved, but it is about, talking to them. I had a filling replaced last week, and the very first thing they said was, is it numb yet? And some, and that what they need is a yes or a no. And this is not the point, folks, to be brave.
Yeah, they don't really want you to feel anything.
Yeah. I need a little bit more of that stuff.
Totally.
And so, I mean, that's the thing is, but and I guess it's kind of the thing with, it will hurt less now than if things get worse, like with anything. I mean, if we
it's
let
like by being
things
proactive,
wait,
isn't it? Yeah.
We have problems.
And you said, like, I mean, things have changed. Like, so even just, getting a mold of your mouth. So that old fashioned mold, they put all the material in your mouth. We digitally scan people's mouths now. It's like we put a special wand. I know.
It's the coolest thing. I had that done at my dentist. I'm like, what are you doing? And they created this 3D
digital
image of my teeth.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
And we do that, Deb. So we have designed a way of doing that when people have no natural teeth present. So we can actually scan their mouth when they've no natural teeth, or if they've some, of course.
And figure out what should be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really cool. And it also takes away a bit of that fear of, because when you're getting a mold, a lot of people say to me, oh, do I have to get that thing in my mouth where I feel like I'm choking?
Yeah.
And
the goo.
That sensation. Yeah, the goo, it's horrible and it feels horrible. And I go, no. And they're like, okay, great. So we tell people that with digital technology, it has just created this huge opportunity to be more accessible for people, to help get rid of some of the fear that might have been there. And to be able to kind of provide a solution for people who maybe thought there was no solution for them, you know? So, and I always think, like, with the digital side, it opens up loads of things for us. So one of the new products we have started to design and make is a digital removable veneers. So you know what a veneer is, and
I love this idea.
So for people who maybe don't want to have permanent orthodontic treatment, or don't want to have implants, or don't want to have composite veneers, and but they want a solution even temporarily for the night out, to feel good, to for the Zooms and stuff like that. So we have our product. It's beautiful removable veneers that slide on over your natural teeth.
Oh, I love
and
it.
give you the Hollywood smile instantly, so maybe whiter teeth, maybe people who aren't a candidate for whiter teeth, or teeth whitening. So just always looking for a solution for people. We're now designing a sleep apnea appliance for snoring, anti-snoring. So I think, for those people who are almost on the cusp maybe of divorce, or sleeping in separate bedrooms, because we maybe have somebody.
There's a commercial playing here in the States where the woman is talking about her husband snoring, and she said, I sleep with an angry rhinoceros. And he said, you've never heard that? And she said, every night.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So it's being able to provide solutions for people where there's finding a problem, and there's always a solution, and finding what that is. But it's, we talk to people. What do they need? What do they want? What is something that they're not even thinking is a problem?
Right.
And working through those. And lucky that we have a great team that is always looking for the solutions as well, and looking for ways to help,
I love it. Well, let's talk about your team. Like you said, you started many years ago on a temporary contract working for your parents. And now you're basically you are in charge. You are your parents' bosses.
Yes.
Boss. How has that been that you have, and clearly, if they didn't want it to happen, it would not have
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But you have transitioned to you are in charge. How
Yes.
is that with the fact that it's your parents and then 33 other employees? How is that?
Oh,
And how
Deb, I
is it
love
being
that
the
you
boss
say
of
it.
your
Yeah, yeah.
parents?
Well, it's great. It's great fun, I have to say. But it was not an easy journey.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose the beauty about it is we get on really well. That's a
Right.
first. But it wasn't always, easy. I mean, there were tough times.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose if I bring you back to when I first started in the business,
Mm-hmm.
it was only ever going to be a temporary thing.
Right.
They never thought it was going to be longer. I
Mm-hmm.
certainly didn't, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up kind of going, that's my parents' job, that's the
Yeah, you
business.
had, and
I'm
you
not
you
interested in
weren't a
this.
dentist
Yeah,
or a dental
no.
tech or anything like that.
This
So,
is it.
mm-hmm.
I'd no interest in
Mm-hmm.
being part of the family business, because I'd no inclination as to how I
Mm-hmm.
would fit into it. I had done my degree in social science. I was
Mm-hmm.
planning on being a social worker. It just wasn't the done
Mm-hmm.
thing unless you were trained as a dentist or
Right.
trained, as you say, as the dental tech.
Mm-hmm.
There was just no room for you in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, my 3-month contract, and I could just see really lots of opportunities for
Mm-hmm.
improvement. It was always really about improvement. And my
Mm-hmm.
3-month contract, it took 6 months for me to do it,
Mm-hmm.
because I was dipping my toe in different parts of it. And I could really see opportunity for,
Mm-hmm.
the business, but I also couldn't understand why are you going to close just because you retire?
Mm-hmm.
Surely there's something else
Right.
here, and my parents couldn't get their head around that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the first time, and the first time I had some major change was where I replaced my dad in a specific area. So my dad worked
Ah.
in the laboratory, but also the
Mm-hmm.
clinic, and the
Mm-hmm.
clinic was his area of
Mm-hmm.
expertise. It's what he loved.
Mm-hmm.
He loved being with the patients. He
But
was
he
like
needed to work in the lab
he
because that
did.
was needed.
This is it. This is it. And sure, we couldn't access that level of
Mm-hmm.
skill anywhere, So I started finding ways of advertising and
Mm-hmm.
advertising abroad and finding people abroad. And,
Mm-hmm.
they may not have been as good as my dad, but he
Mm-hmm.
was really good at training.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to upskill. So the first time
Mm-hmm.
I started to, I suppose, show that was possible,
Mm-hmm.
they stopped laughing at me. I suppose that was the good thing. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
laughing at me
Mm-hmm.
anymore. When I had an idea, they kind of looked more puzzled, going,
Right.
okay, we laughed at her the last time, but now
And
she's
it
saying something. And
worked. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so maybe she's onto something,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think as time went by, it was, for my parents, it was certainly looking at work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
when we didn't really talk about work-life balance.
Right.
I suppose
They
it
worked all
wasn't.
the time.
Yeah, and that was never a topic for discussion. You
Mm-hmm.
worked, you owned your own business, so
Mm-hmm.
therefore you made sure that you did whatever
Mm-hmm.
needed to be done in order for it to succeed and survive. And you rarely took holidays
Mm-hmm.
without having to work or having to
Mm-hmm.
do all your
And
work
you were
before you
always on
left.
call, right? Because somebody would break a
Absolutely.
tooth or
Ultimately,
something. Mm-hmm.
exactly. I need an emergency. I
Mm-hmm.
flushed my denture down the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were always on call.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I was looking at other businesses going, if I give you an example, right, I hate doing it because it kind of shows you it shows you where we've come from as well. But I remember in 2009, I kind of said to my parents, I've brought the company as far as I can go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to grow this without maybe doing a degree in management or going and
Mm-hmm.
training as a dentist, because I'm not a dentist. I'm not a technician.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've brought the business as far as I
Mm-hmm.
can. And my friend said to me, you should work with a business coach. And I was like, a business what? And she said,
Mm-hmm.
this is Ireland. I said, a
Mm-hmm.
business coach. I said, I said, they only do that really in America. And she said, yeah, but this is an American idea and somebody
Right.
started doing it in Ireland. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, wow. So I met this guy anyway, and he said to me, because I was key holder, right? So I'd come in, I'd open up for the building and I'd
Mm-hmm.
close, and I was there all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my parents did. So now,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I wonder, he said, if, the CEO of Coca-Cola goes in every morning and
Right.
opens up the
Is
building,
not the person who
lets all the
opens the
team in.
door. Mm-hmm.
I mean, light bulbs, hello, going off. But we were such a small company at the
Mm-hmm.
time. We really didn't have the concept
Mm-hmm.
of how you grow, even with
Right.
those minute
Mm-hmm.
details. And from 2009 on, it was like an explosion of my brain
Mm-hmm.
going, okay, what does a big corporate do? What does a big company
Mm-hmm.
do? What did they do? How did they
Right.
do it? I wasn't looking at the local dentist anymore. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
looking at the local practice.
Right.
I wasn't even looking at dentistry at all.
Mm-hmm. You were a
And
business that was
we were a
growing.
business.
Mm-hmm.
We were. And I was talking to other business people and other people who'd done it already,
Mm-hmm.
people in different industries. And I think when my parents started to see all of that machine going on in my
Mm-hmm.
brain, they were equally thinking, how do we get out of this?
Right.
How do we retire?
Mhm.
How do we work less? How do we
Mhm.
still have a life that, you know, we're
Mhm.
accustomed to and still not have to work so
Mhm.
much? So their plan for their life and my plan for my life became so intertwined. We both wanted
Mhm.
different things,
Mhm.
but we were all so reliant on each other for it. And the
Right.
business was the mechanism in which
Mhm.
we could have work-life balance.
Mhm.
So we started to talk about that. And I think we started to talk about that again. I'm quite open, Deb. I'm here talking to you in the US about my
Mhm.
business and about everything we've done.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm very direct and I like
Mhm.
talking about things because I think when you talk about things, that's how you unearth
Right.
problems and
And you
things.
learn from others. I mean, that's
Totally,
the thing.
totally.
Mhm.
So we started talking about things that nobody else was talking about.
Mhm.
We were working in nursing homes, so I was talking to my parents. What if one of you end up in a nursing home?
Right.
What if one of you gets sick?
Mhm.
What if something happens? What if
Mhm.
this? What if that? You know, and initially my parents were kind of going, "Oh, we don't talk about
Yeah,
that. You know,
no, no, not going to
we're gonna
happen to
brush
us.
we're
Mhm.
gonna brush that under the carpet
Mhm.
and bring it out another time." And then they became open to having the chat, going, "Actually,
Mhm.
now that you're talking about it, we would
Mhm.
really like to work less."
Right.
Like to work less hours. And we
Mhm.
started to do that. So in 2016, my parents started to work less. They started to do 2 to 3 days a week. And then it
Mhm.
went to 2 to 3 afternoons a week or mornings a week. Then it
I
went to
love
two
it.
days. Then it
And
went
they
to
have
one
these
day.
grandkids that they can spend time with and do all
My
these other
mom, they
fun
loved the
things.
garden. You
Mhm.
know, my mom went back to painting. She went and started doing art classes again.
Mhm.
I always remember that as a child. My mom loved to paint, but it's
Mhm.
somewhere along the line
Mhm.
it went because she was busy
Right.
with work, and now she
Mhm.
was you know, figuring out those things, those love things that you want to
Mhm.
do, and you maybe just put off, you
Mhm.
know. So, but equally, while I was doing that for them, I was also doing that for myself because it
Mhm.
was future proofing the business for all of us.
Mhm.
And I was also deciding what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And what I didn't want to do was work 7 days a week,
Mhm.
80, 90 hours a week, you
Right.
know, and I wanted to have work-life balance. So as
Mhm.
you said in the intro, I have three fabulous
Right.
teenagers.
That are
I
going
had
three
those,
different directions, right? Mhm.
and I was having them all
Mhm.
along while I was, you know, throughout this
Mhm.
last 20 odd years working in the company and having to have a life with my kids and my
Mhm.
husband and
Yeah,
be able
when
to
they
go
have a
on
soccer
holidays.
game,
And
you want to be able to go and all of
I
those
want to be their
things. Mhm.
champion. Yeah, I want to
Mhm.
be there and I want to, you know, parent teacher meeting. I'm the
Mhm.
first one booked in. I'm there with my
Mhm.
notebook taking notes on how great
Mhm.
they are, you know, or where they need to improve. And
Mhm.
you know, we've movie night and we have family time
Mhm.
and all of those things, you know, to make sure we go camping. I love camping.
Mhm.
My parents brought us camping when we were kids and
Mhm.
I remembered it fondly. And even though my kids sometimes don't want to go, they come and they still have fun.
Mhm. Right. You want to
You
know,
know, yeah.
Mom, really?
I
Mhm.
know, I know.
Mhm.
But when they get there, they have fun,
Mhm.
you know. So sometimes
Mhm.
you have to be the parents.
Right.
So yeah, bringing the three
Mhm.
kids up throughout, you know,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to do what I do without
Mhm.
the most amazing partner as well. My husband has been
Mhm.
phenomenal throughout. He supports me. He doesn't feel like you know, this is a man's world. He's like,
Mhm.
yeah, well, go for it,
Mhm.
you know, do what you need to
Right.
do. I'm here, what do you
Mhm.
need from me? You know, so
Mhm.
we work as a partnership.
Ah,
And
I love it.
I think, yeah, that's really important to
Mhm.
have, you know, people around you
Mhm.
who want to see you succeed and want to help
Mhm.
you as best they can. And
Right.
my husband loves cleaning.
Mhm.
I do not. He likes cooking.
Perfect. Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh. Mhm.
this is like brilliant, brilliant. And he
Mhm.
works full time too, but
Mhm.
he, you know, they're the bits that he likes.
Right.
He may not have as much pull on certain times and things that he needs
Mhm.
to do. And
Mhm.
oh yeah, we work, yeah, it works really
Right.
well. And when I go on holidays, I'm on holidays.
Mhm.
I
Right.
don't have to check in. You know,
Mhm.
I've got a really great team
Mhm.
we've grown using, I suppose, that system of what can I replace my dad
Mhm.
with?
Right.
How do I pull him out of that?
Mhm.
Okay, the next person. Well,
Mhm.
that's taking a lot of time. I'm not really good at that and I don't like doing it.
Mhm.
Who could I get to do that? Because there
Right.
has to be somebody who likes doing
Mhm.
that. And we gradually built into the team people who love doing what they do,
Mhm.
like really love their job
Mhm.
and they're really good at it because I think when you
Mhm.
love something, you're
Right.
even better at it. And that's how we've grown the
Mhm.
team. We've over 40 on the team now.
Wow.
We even have, because of our digital, we have people who work in other countries,
Mhm. Right.
because we can connect with
Mhm.
them. So we have some people in the Philippines, we have some
Mhm.
people in Venezuela,
Mhm.
Argentina,
Mhm.
all around the world that we work with,
Right.
people in Portugal.
Mhm.
It's phenomenal what we can
Mhm.
do because of technology
Right.
and build our team, people who are passionate about what we
Mhm.
do, wanting to deliver this fabulous smile
Mhm.
and confidence to people.
Mhm.
And all while enjoying it. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
how I've grown it is I do this little technique actually that my business coach taught me.
Mhm.
I pick the top 10 things that take me the longest time
Uh-huh.
And then I pick the top 10 things that I like the least. So the ones that I dislike the most. And I see where they cross over.
Yeah. Is there an overlap?
Totally. And there always is. The things we procrastinate over and the things that take us the longest are the things that we like the least.
Right.
And that is how I started to look at who I can replace myself with, or who I can replace that job with, and who do I hire for that role. And that's how I grew the company over the years. And you know, every now and again, my parents kind of did question going, are you sure that's the right move? And but equally we're supporting, challenging, but supporting. And that's how we've been able to do it, like as a group, as a team.
I love it. Well, you know, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, where delegating truly is one of the hardest things for somebody to do. Because first of all, we think we're the only one who can do it. We are the only one who can do it right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and heaven forbid that somebody do it differently. And, you know, and then what if they do it better? Oh my gosh. Right. You know, but it's so much fun when you delegate and you see somebody really blossom. I mean, that's and so, you know, what you have done for them is phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I always say to the team, I hire people around me that are better than me at doing their job, because what is the point in hiring somebody who can't do it as well as me? Because I would spend all my time training them, spend all my time holding their hand, and, you know, and then
so probably,
and then be not happy that they didn't do it the same way. So if I find somebody who loves what they do and they love that part of the job, I tell them, you are way better at doing that than I ever could be. And that's why you're in that job, you know? So, I mean, actually it helps with motivation as well. When I'm in the team, I've delegated something I don't particularly like doing, and I'm not really good at it. They're way better at it.
And sometimes even if you like it and you're good at it, you should still delegate it.
You shouldn't be doing it. Exactly. You know, well, you can dip in and out of it if you want then, because you like it, you know, so, but you don't have to do it all the time. But you're right. We do have that thing, you know, that superhero cape of the, you know, I'm the only person who can do that. I've been doing it
my
for years.
business.
Yeah, it's my job, my business, and therefore I should be doing it. You know, there's an element of should as well as can, and, you know, so where you kind of feel, should I be doing that? You know, I mean, other people do that, so maybe I should be doing it. And, you know, you question it, and I always come back to delegate and not abdicate. So I even do training with my team. You know, I said to you, I kind of do executive coaching as well, but I also coach my team, the ones who want to have time with me and do it. But I always tell them the difference between delegating and abdicating, you know, and delegating and helping somebody to do it and supporting them and making sure there's a process document on it, or a step-by-step, or, you know, and watching people succeed in it, as opposed to going, you go do that and make sure you do it right. You know, that doesn't work for anybody, because they really don't know how your company works. They don't know what they're doing. They might do it wrong, as you say. They could do it wrong and feel really down because they haven't delivered.
And then it goes down from there.
Yeah. So setting people up for success, you know, you've got to delegate, and you've got to support them. And I think because of that, and because that's our ethos, I think that's why we've got such a good team, and we've won so many awards for culture and leadership and teamship. Yeah.
I interviewed a gentleman one time on the podcast, and he had several thousand employees. I mean, and he still has a large business. And he said he knew he was successful when he went on vacation and his phone didn't ring once.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And he said, you know, and he said it was really, really, really hard to not check in. Especially when he didn't hear. He's like, has it just, you know, blown up? And he said, you know, and he said they knew that, first of all, they were empowered to make the decisions. He was not going to second guess them. Maybe it wouldn't be the decision he would have made, or even maybe the right decision. But you can fix it.
Totally.
And he said, you know, and he said they knew that he trusted them. And he said, of course, that was the biggest thing to get across was, you know, I trust you. You're going to make the decision that you think is right at that time. We can discuss it later if we need to, but, you know, and you know, and it is hard, you know, it's whether you have, you know, thousands of employees or 40 or even just a handful to not be micromanaging. You know, one of the things that I do is I outsource. I mean, you know, it's my business is me. But you know, I have a VA, obviously, who is my producer for the podcast. Could not do this without her. She's on vacation this week, and I'm just lost. And so, but you know, other things, I tell people I kind of do the 15-minute rule. If it's going to take me more than 15 minutes and isn't a central part of what I need to be doing, then it needs to go to someone else. Even if it's something I love, like working on a website. I love tinkering, doing all of those things.
Oh, but you'd be hours and days on it.
Yeah. You know, but is that the best use of my time? No. So I outsource it. We created a new initiative. It's been about a year ago now, on the whole cancer initiative that we've been doing. And now I can do branding, I can do marketing, I can do websites. I hired that done, partially because I knew I'd never do it. You know, it would just, or I would do it kind of a little bit. And so I hired, oh my gosh, Josh Zeppas is the absolute most wonderful brand person. He created this great brand for us. And then I outsourced the website. I mean, all of it. I outsourced it. I bit that bullet and I wrote those checks. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I hired a business coach like you did, you know, and I mean, all of this stuff. And so all this money goes out and I'm like, eek, but you know, and
get it back in tenfold. You do though, don't you?
You know, and like the website, it was so funny because I had told her, I said, okay, this is a website about dealing with cancer. So I want it to be black and white and stark with only pops of color, but not pink. You know, and you know, all of these things. She came back with something totally different. Totally ignored me, right? And my first thought was, well,
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. I went, well, that's not what I wanted, but this is way cool.
Oh yeah.
And you know, and of course I wouldn't change a thing. You know, and so I think that's the thing is she knew that yes, I had told her I want XYZ and she was going to do ABC. You know, and she knew what she was doing. And she also knew that she had the confidence. That she knew what she was doing. And so she could, you know, because she did tell me, I know this is not what you wanted, but I think you're going to, And, you know, and it really was, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than what I was envisioning. And, you know, and so that delegating and that trust, I mean, that's what it all comes back to, that trust and empowering them to do that. And we hired them. You know, we should, you know, we should, and if they're not the right person, we should
be able to build them up and trust them and support them.
You know, we put them in a different role or, you know, or we, you help them on their way.
Well, you do. It's like dating. I always say to people, jobs are a little bit like dating.
Right. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't.
And you just don't want it to end in divorce at the end, you know. So communication is key, as you say, support them to do it and help them to move on. If it's, or if it's a contract, maybe it's a shorter period and things like that. But I love that.
Right. So now, you know, you talk about future proofing your business. I mean, clearly your parents are probably reaching the age where they're not going to do anything. And at some point, you know, I shouldn't say not do anything. They're going to go off and do the things they love as opposed to working. You know, you might have grandkids, you know, now your kids are teenagers. So, you know, this is a ways down the road.
Hopefully another little bit.
But you're going to have things that you're going to want to be doing. So what do you see down the road 10, 20 years for your business?
Oh, it's a great question. And I do get asked this. And sometimes I kind of go, this is what I want. And other times I kind of go, do I? I, at the moment, really feel like I would like a legacy building business. So I'd like to build it so that if any of my children want, or any of the children of our team want to be part of it, that there's something here for them. And, you know, I know friends who have businesses and they're building it up to sell it. They know exactly what they're doing. At the moment, that's not what I want. I would like to grow it globally. I would like to be able to offer this internationally, and we will, you know, and I might need some support along the way, and we'll go down that route when we need it. But I do feel like in 15, 20 years time, legacy business is how I feel about it right now, that, you know, potentially there's a third generation there. And I do know what they say about third generation businesses. I do. But equally, I think, you know, there's ways of proving that wrong too, because there's plenty of third and fourth and fifth generation businesses out there as well. So yes, I do feel like building it up so that I have the, you know, the balance of life and work when I want, not having to be here all the time, and having people who I really trust to run it, to build it, grow it, and that it'll be here for a long time. I do. feel really proud about that and wanting that, you know, and I think, you know, as you said, my parents aren't really in it as much anymore. They're not. I call them nearly every day to tell them what happened during the day.
Right.
They haven't been part of it in the last, you know, kind of the good while. And I tell them what's going. And my mom loves that. She said they just feel like they're involved. They feel like they're kept up to speed, and they
and
don't
you're
feel
still asking them for support. I mean, they're still your parents after all.
I am totally. And as my mom said to her, I love the way she phrased it. She said, you know, we may not be needed, as in we you know, we don't have to be there, but it's nice to feel wanted.
Right.
And I just thought that's so, and I was like, you can have that for as long as you need, because they are such a wealth of information, you know, that I'm equally trying to make sure that I have everything from their head in a video or in a paper or a white paper and things like that. So, because they have a huge wealth of knowledge and life experience that it'd be a shame not to capture as much of that as possible. So,
well, and the concepts and things that they have about providing great customer service, all of those things. Technology doesn't change that.
No.
You know, in fact, if anything, you absolutely have to make sure you have more of it. You know, that you're not just seeing how many people you can be seen, you know, and all of those things is no, we are always going to put that personal touch, because my parents always had that personal touch.
Yeah, it feels so close to my heart. So I think because it's part of me, it's ingrained in me that, to see it succeed and to know that they're proud of how it's grown. And, you know, as my dad says, digital dentures, I never thought that'd be happening, you know, and they love, like, I mean, again, kind of probably thought that's not going to happen. And then they saw it happening and went, wow, every time she says she's going to do something, she does it, you know. So it's lovely. And it feels like something that needs to carry on and to grow and to be offered to as many people as need it and want it, you know. So that's, I
can just imagine when you had the first pair of dentures and he's holding them.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it would have been, I'm guessing, a little like a child at Christmas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And my mom and dad were in one of the days, just they pop in for coffee all the time. As I said, they just come in for the chats and they came in for a cup of coffee. And I was talking about some technical issues, you know, because like I say, I run everything past them and their brains are amazing. And I was saying, look, I've got this issue, you know, and my mom said, oh, well, what do you do about this stage? And my dad said, Mary, she's not doing that stage anymore. They're printing it on the printer. And I was like, oh, wow. This was about 2 years ago. The penny dropped. I was like, my dad is now schooling my mom on 3D printed dentures. I was like, this is amazing. You know, so I mean, it is phenomenal. And they do love it. And, you know, my dad's been in scanning and testing some of the technology. And he's done most of the, I suppose, the roadblock testing that we had, because we kept coming across roadblocks and using my dad's knowledge, the 50 years of experience that he's more than 50 years of knowledge he has, and pairing it, you know, so pairing the traditional analog way of doing and bringing it into the future. We're not completely replacing everything. We've just found a way to do it digitally. And that's the bit that I love. Yeah.
Right. I love it. And it is so cute. I have your website open and I have their pictures. I've scrolled down so that I have their pictures, you know, and they just look like they're so sweet.
Really,
you know,
cute.
And you know, obviously your whole team looks fabulous. Yeah. We're almost done. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. And I mean, it's been,
I can't believe we're nearly done. I've really enjoyed this, Deb. We could talk for hours.
This is something that, you know, a lot of people would think, wait a minute, you talked about dental for an hour. We talked about business concepts.
We did.
I mean, that really is what it is. And, you know, and that's very much, I think, like every business. I mean, we need to be thinking about, maybe we don't see our business 20 years down the road because maybe it is just us or whatever.
Maybe. Yeah,
but how do we get through this week or things like that? And I think obviously COVID really did make people totally rethink a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun to be thinking about that and to think, you know, at some point, you know, I might, you know, be driving and see a billboard here in Atlanta that says Dentaltech Group, and I'm going to be like,
I know her friend.
That's me. You know. But you know, I always give people a chance to promote their business. Well, you know, you are just in Ireland right now, but you know, tell us a little bit more about, you know, your business, and then how would people connect with you?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. So you can find us on www.dentaltech.ie. So the .ie is for Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
More than happy for you to check us out. And if you want to connect with me personally, I would absolutely love that. You'll find me on LinkedIn. So Bevin Mahon, BevinMahon. And my name, Bevin, is quite unique. So if you spell it right the first time, you'll find me. Be more than happy to connect on LinkedIn. And equally, I love that give back entrepreneurial side, as I said, because I've got so much support over the years from different people on their journeys. And so I do love to connect on LinkedIn for people who want to find me there. I'm also on Facebook and TikTok. I've just recently dipped my toe in the world of TikTok and I absolutely love it.
I'm too much like squirrel. I know I'd never come back out, right?
You have to time it, Deb. You have to time it because you will. You get sucked into the vortex and 2 hours later you're wondering what you did.
You've been watching cute cat videos the whole time, right?
Totally. But yeah, so our website, dentaltech.ie, and then you can find me on LinkedIn. So more than happy to connect with people.
I love it. Well, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Oh, well, do you know what? For starters, I have really, really enjoyed this. So thank you so much for having me on the show. I think one of the things that I think is really important to me is, and we don't always do it, is surround yourself with people who want to see you succeed. And I think that's a really important thing. It's that they want to see you succeed bit, because sometimes we have people in our lives who maybe don't even necessarily mean any harm or any difficulty, but they challenge us in ways going, really, you're going to do that? Really? Is that going to work? And it makes us second guess ourselves, So I would just say anybody who's thinking about something, maybe trying something, growing their own business, or, wants to grow it even bigger or expand, find people who will want to see you succeed. Find people who've done it themselves, who will equally say to you, somebody told me I couldn't do it and look at me now. And there's lots of people like that out there. So surround yourself with positive people.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success.
Delight.
The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer,
because
is proud to be part of the
C-Suite
C-Suite
telling us about the next big thing that you are doing.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
So that'll be so much fun. But I'm Deb Creer. I've been having a delightful conversation with Bevin Mahon. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.